Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Thought Space with me, Tom of One. Thank you so much for being with us. Truly appreciate it. I am literally recording this um, at 25 minutes to 1 in the morning. Usually I record on Mondays and upload on Tuesdays, and then I record on Thursdays and I upload on Fridays. So I've been battling with what to talk about because there's just so much to talk about, you know. But then I decided, let me just finish off this whole, let's call it a series, where I'll be really digging deep into um, what you can do as um, a parent to build a more solid relationship with your child. um, and I thought, because there's just so much to talk about, and so I think I'll do that every Tuesday. We'll upload that kind of content, and we will be able to learn from this kind of episodes. And then, the good thing about this kind of platforms is that you just keep it on your library, and then whenever you are in need of it, you will just refer and learn as much as you need to learn. So that is what is coming up next on the third place. Let's go. So we must start with biblical references, okay? On the last episode, especially when we're talking about um, you are your child's most important teacher. And there is no teacher that's more important than a parent, you know. And in Proverbs 22, verse 6, it says, and I'm gonna read um, a few versions or a few translations so that you get the depth of what we're trying to go with this. Proverbs 22 verse 6, it says, "Start children off on the way they should go." This is the NIV. "And even when they are old, they will not turn from it." The New Living Translation says, "Direct your children into the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it." Right? The English Standard Version says, "Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it." All right. So King James, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." So it is very important to understand that the trainer here, the most important trainer, the most important educator, is not your child's LO teacher, life orientation teacher at school. It's not your child's biology teacher at school. It's not your child's mathematics teacher at school. The most important trainer, the most important teacher in your child's life, it's you as a parent. So we must really take this serious, that there is no teacher that is more important, that should teach your child important information, so that when your child is older, he will not forget. He will not move away from your teachings. And then this is where I really want to deal or dive into when it comes to then how do you teach? Maybe before we get there, we must be very aware that our children are exposed to a lot of different teachers. So, besides you as the most fundamental, most important teacher to your child, Obviously, the obvious ones is the teacher at school. Those are the people that in one way or another they're able to influence your child because they spend majority of the day with your child. But another teacher that we must be aware of, and this is a very dangerous teacher, is your child or your children's friends. Your children's friends are one of the most, depending on what they are learning from each other, the most dangerous or the most important teachers that your child can have. Another teacher that we have is obviously social media. A lot of our children, they learn a lot of things from social media. And it depends on what they're learning. It could be bad or it could be good. Another very important teacher is what they consume on television, on radio, or even songs. You 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 cannot believe just how uh, powerful music is. So they learn certain phrases in in songs. So you can see that our children are exposed to a lot of teachers. But we must understand that in all these teachers that I've mentioned, you as a parent are the most important of them all. Now, here is what is dangerous, especially in this day and age that we are living in. I give you an example of your child's friends being your child teacher or the music that they listen to. So Monday to Friday, they spend a lot of time with these friends. And then in most cases, they are sharing ideas in your absence. So you have no idea what your children are talking or are saying to each other because you are not there, you are at work or wherever you may be. They are listening to music. The kind of music that your children are listening to is in a way able to influence the type of people that they are becoming in your absence. So it's very important to know the kind of influence that is uh, predominant in your child's life. Because if you are not aware of the other voices, the other teachers that are busy teaching your child, you'll find that you are the only one who's speaking for a certain idea, and the rest of the teachers that are influencing your child, because whether you like it or not, all these teachers are influencing your child as long as your child is exposed to these people on a daily basis. And what is dangerous is this: you as a parent, you see your child in the morning when they're preparing to go to school. You are also busy with your own things. You're trying to make sure that everybody is ready so that everybody can go to school, so you can go to work or you can do whatever you need to do for the day. All right. And then most times when you're in the car, you're driving, you are listening to the radio, and then the child maybe is finishing off the homework or whatever in the car. So there isn't a lot of interaction between the most important teacher, which is you, the parent, and the student. So you drop them off at school and then you go on with your day. Now, from that moment, the teacher, which is the friend, starts taking their role. The reason why we have issues like peer pressure, the reason why our children are misbehaving is because of the pressure they get from their peers. That should show you just how powerful their friends are. That should tell you just how powerful these friends are to each other. Where the pressure, the influence of your child's friend, it is so powerful that it can override a parent's teaching. So we must not look at this lightly. The friends are so powerful that they're able to override. If you were told your child, we don't drink alcohol in this house. But then if your child is exposed to friends that are for drinking, if they spend so much time with these friends that are for drinking, sooner or later, it's just a matter of time. Unless if this child is removed for them from that influence, they will do what you said they must not do, to show that the friend is a very powerful and influential teacher to your child. So you need to be able to start to teach your child on the ways they should go, and so that when they're older, they will not turn from it. So here's another thing. These teachers that I have mentioned, they are teaching your child the same thing every day. And then what is interesting that I have observed is that most parents don't like repeating themselves. Most parents, when they teach the child, they don't want to repeat themselves. They, in most cases, just want the child to grab whatever it is that they're trying to teach the child, and then they move on with their life. But then the rest of the teachers, that are influencing your child are able to teach your child the same thing every day. And that is the most destructive thing. That the most important teacher is not teaching the child using a method that is effective, because the most important teacher is busy with other things. I like to give you an example. I have a best friend. I have a best friend in high school. Um, he started being sexually active more than me, or like before me rather. And I was in standard six, what we call grade 8. And so it was during the time, there's this cakes. Um, I'll find them on the net and I'll put them. They're called red cakes, or we used to call them red cakes. So I don't really know what they're actually called, but we used to call them red cakes. And so every day I would buy these red cakes before I go to class. So one day I'm buying these red cakes, and my friend comes to me and he says, "What are you buying?" And I'm like, "I'm buying red cakes." And then he said, "Yesterday I ate a cake that is far much delicious than this red cake that you're buying." At the time, we're 13 years old. We are doing standard six, grade 8. And now then I asked him, "What kind of cake are you talking about?" And then he told me that he was with a girl yesterday, and then he ate the girl's cake yesterday. Because this is very important, because children are not afraid to express themselves because they are among their peers. They speak freely because there is no parent. So you must be aware the kind of language that these children use in your absence. So my friend continues to say he ate this girl's cake, and then he went on to describe how delicious this girl's cake was. This girl's cake is far much delicious, far more delicious than this red cake that I am buying now, planning to eat it during break. So we go to class and then we go on break, the short break. So I decided to eat my one of my red cakes. As I'm enjoying my red cake, my friend comes and then he says, "Oh, I see you are eating your red cake. I tell you now, if you can taste the cake that I was eating yesterday, you will never ever want to eat this red cake because this red cake is nothing compared to the cake that I was eating of the girl that I was with yesterday." 13-year-old boys having a sexual conversation in the absence of the parent. Now, I want to ask you, what do you think happened to? Because it happened more than a couple of weeks. So we go back to class and then long break, and I'm having lunch, and then it comes while we're having lunch, he's telling me just how delicious the cake he ate yesterday. This is a 13-year-old boy telling another 13-year-old boy about his sexual experience, and he's using cakes to make me understand just how delicious this cake that he was eating was. So we didn't have transport during my day of schooling. We used to walk back home. So 15 kilometers of walking, my friend is busy telling me just how delicious the cake he ate was. Tomorrow, he continues to tell me about the cake he ate. The whole week will pass and he's still telling me about the cake he ate. And then I ask you, I'm from a Christian family. I was taught that sex before marriage is a sin. And then if you sin and you die a sinner, you go to hell. That's what we've been taught. And remember, the lesson of sex before marriage is a sin, they told me like 3 years ago. I still remember it because, you know, they will tell me. But then now there is this voice that is telling me what is contrary to the teachings of my parents. But the difference is that this particular teacher, who is my friend, is telling me the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm like, I'm asking you now as a parent, as a person who is wise and you are able to deduct information and come up with a conclusion. What do you think finally happened with me? If you said you were curious and then you also wanted to taste the cake, this human cake for yourself, you will be 100% correct. And then you know what's dangerous? I could not go to my father. I could not go to my mother and say, "Hey, Dad, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine at school, and then he told me that there is a cake that is far much delicious than the red cake that I so love. And my friend keeps on telling me just how delicious this cake is. Dad, is it true that there is a cake that is delicious more than the red cake?" I could not ask my parents that. So I allow my friend to be the only source of information when it comes to this cake eating. So Ed is telling me this, so now he's building up ideas in my head. He's building up ideas in my head. And then I had one fateful evening, I had a dream, what we call wet dreams. So I dreamt of a classmate, a girl in my class, and there was intercourse in the dream. But the whole dream didn't just come out of nowhere. It's because I've been listening to the same message over and over and over until this thing builds up in my subconscious. Now I'm starting to see these pictures in my mind when sleeping. So I wake up in the morning, the whole thing of wet dreams and so forth. So I can't wake up in the morning and tell my parents, who are Christians, who have taught me that sex before marriage is a sin. I can't go back to them and it's like, "Hey, I just had a dream. I just dreamt sinning." Oh, God forbid, I will never do that. Guess what do I do? I prepare myself, I go to school, and who is the first person that I tell about the dream I had? You guessed it. This friend of mine, the cake friend. You know what this friend of mine told me after I told him that the dream that I had? Remember, this is 13-year-old boys. So let's not try to think of, as an adult, you obviously think, how can a 13-year-old boy believe such a lie? But these are kids. A 13-year-old is a child whose mind must be carefully developed by a wise teacher. So I tell my friend my dream, and then my friend, he knows that I'm from a Christian family. So my friend says, before I started eating the cake of that girl, I too had a dream about a cake before I went on to eat it. So the fact that you are dreaming about this girl and then you are dreaming eating her cake, it means that God has given you this girl. Therefore, if God gives you and shows you in a dream, it means that that is the cake that you must eat. This is information by a 13-year-old to another 13-year-old. What do you think happened? Because remember, I can't go back to my parents and said, "I had a dream. In my dream, this is what happened. And I went to speak to my friend at school, and my friend said, this is God showing me whose cake I must eat." Is it true, Dad? I can imagine it wherever you are, wherever you are watching this from. It's like, there is no way I'm going to tell my parents this thing. So there is one source of information that is feeding me and there is no other source of information to diffuse the information that I'm getting. And then the question is, what do you think happened with me? I don't want to get into details, but whatever happened, happened. That's how dangerous these other teachers are in influencing your child. That's how dangerous when we are not careful and we are not mindful of other influences that your child is exposed to on a daily basis. It's just a matter of time before your child is involved in drugs. It's just a matter of time before your child is involved in alcohol. It's a matter of time before your child is involved in pornography. It's just a matter of time before your child is involved to gangsters and all those things. If you are not aware as a parent, the kind of influence, the kind of teachers that are influencing your child on a daily basis. So we must develop a voice that is resounding the same message to your child on a regular basis. We cannot be teachers that said, I've taught you once, I expect you to understand it, while we are living in a world where your child is exposed to the same type of teachers that are saying the same message over and over. And it so happened that the message that they're teaching your child contradicts the teachings of the parent. And then the parent would now say to the child, you don't listen. I talk to you, you don't listen. But the problem is that you have spoken once, yet the other teachers have spoken multiple times. So I do listen, but I listen to the one who keeps on telling me the same thing. And also the attitude with which you speak is very important. You know, a person who's always shouting and fighting and everything like that. Look, the mind is designed to protect myself. Like every person, when they shout at me all this time, I sometimes I just shut off. I look at you, but I don't hear what you say. That's what happens with the human mind or the human brain. So you cannot drop the ball. You are your child's most important teacher, then you must be your child's most frequent teacher. Your teachings must not come once in Christmas. Your teachings must not come when there is something, there's an event that happens, and then that's it with it. You must be consistently teaching so that your child will not forget when they are old. It's very important. Nobody is going to do this for you. You have to do it. And I suppose the last thing that I must also um, add onto this thing is the issue of discipline. Discipline is very important. Children need to be disciplined. But the way in which you discipline, or the way in which you discipline also determines whether they receive the discipline and change their behavior or not. If your discipline is misplaced, also their behavior will be out of order. So you want to create a method of discipline that is fine-tuned for a specific child, because children are not the same. I have three babies, you know. So the second born is quite naughty, man. He's very energetic. You have to, you know, sometimes you smack him on the bum, so that he gets his act together. So one day I smacked the second born, my son, on the bum. He stole an apple from the fridge, and then he was eating it behind the door of the fridge. So I catch him, and then he's eating the apple after I told him not to, because he had eaten close to 5 apples that day. So he was busy with the sixth one. So he comes to me and said, "Can I please have another apple?" And I was like, "Baby, you've already had enough apples. You have tomorrow. You will enjoy another apple. You can't finish this thing every day." But then he pretended as though he's going to put back the apple, and he's going to eat the apple behind the door of the fridge. So I catch him, and then I reprimand him, and I smack him on the bum for stealing and for lying. So as I smack the brother on the bum, the big sister looks at me with eyes of disapproval. And then I ask the baby, I'm like, "Why are you looking at me like that?" He's like, "You don't have to hit him. You could have just sent him to the naughty corner." And there is parents, when I tell some of my friends this story, they say like, "This naughty corner thing does not work. The thing that works is the sambo. You must smack the baby, and the baby will be in line." And so that's the thing with parenting. You cannot use the same method of discipline to all children, because all children are not the same. I know the eldest one, if I want to discipline them, hitting them does not work. I have to I have to send them to the naughty corner. The thing is, you don't use a method of discipline that works for you as a parent. That's what we need to correct. You should not use a method of discipline that works for you as a parent. You use a method of disciplining your child that works on the child. How do you know that the method works? Is that when you have used the method, then the child changes the behavior. I was very noticed that at times when I come back home late at night, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and my father, every time I came back late, he will hit me. And then a week later, I forgot that he hit me, and I come back home at 12:30, midnight, and he will be waiting for me, and he will hit me. And then after 2 weeks, I would have forgotten that he hit me and come back late again, until one day my mother locked all the doors, locked all the gate, and this was a different type of discipline now, because I have to sleep under the mango tree in the heat of the summer, where mosquitoes are at their happiest. I don't need to say much, but that was the last time I came back late that night. So a parent used a different method, and that different method changed my behavior. So sometimes parents are so in love with a method that they prefer, but only to find the method that they are using is not the one they should use for a child, because different children are different. You might have 4 children, and then they respond differently to a different method of discipline. So you must identify a method that works for a specific child, so that you are able to administer not a method that is preferable to you, but a method that is working for the child. And by working, I mean that after you have used it, you see fundamental change in your child. And lastly, this is the last thing that's very important. Make sure that the reasons why you discipline your child is not anger. Anger should not be your motivation to discipline, but correction should be. So that you must still be able to administer discipline even when you are not angry. So anger should not be the motivation to discipline a child. Because if anger is the motivation, then abuse comes into the picture. And I always tell parents, it's like, if you see that you are angry at the child, wait until you cool off. Because the child must not confuse your anger with your discipline. So the child must not say the reason why he's disciplining me is because he's angry. No, the reason why I'm disciplining you is because you have done something wrong. And I'm disciplining you so that you know the consequence of your actions. Let's not put anger into the equation. If your child responds well and changes their behavior after you've used a rod, and I ask questions when I do these sessions, and I say, can you hit your child with a belt if you are not angry? And most parents will say, no, there's no way. How do you hit a child without being angry? And I was like, then you should not hit a child. Because the thing that is making you hit a child is not what you've done, it's because you are angry. That's why you are not able to hit them when you are not angry. They still did the wrong thing, but you are not able to discipline them outside of anger. So the motivation is anger, not what they have done. Remove anger, you are not able to discipline. So we must look at ourselves. There's just a lot of things. You must teach your child the same thing over and over and over and over. That is how you win the battle of influence, because your child is exposed to a lot of different teachers that are influencing your child. The way to win is that you keep on constantly, on a regular basis, repeating the same thing over and over again, overriding what the friends are busy teaching your child. Another thing, if it happens that they don't get it and then you have to administer discipline, find a method that works. Don't fall in love with a certain method only to find that the method that you're using does not work on that specific child. Identify a method that works and use it. How do you know that it works? Is that after you have used it, you see fundamental change in the behavior. If you don't do all those things, someone else will do them. And unfortunately, those that do it, they may not be doing it under the umbrella of your principles. Thank you so much for being with us. Until we meet again next Tuesday, right here on the Thought Space. And please, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Press that bell thing so that when there's new content, you can check it. Yeah, that bell thing. So that when there's new content out, you'll be able to find out. But thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for the conversations on the comment section. Thank you so much for subscribing. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope this content and what we are talking about is of your benefit. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. Until next time, peace.